I was just collecting my luggage at the airport when my phone buzzed with a message from my brother Michael. "Do not go home tonight. Stay somewhere else." My heart immediately started racing. I had been away on a sales trip for 4 days and was planning to surprise my wife Sarah and our kids by coming home a day early. I tried calling Michael 3 times, but he would not answer. I texted back, "Why? What is wrong?" His response made my blood run cold. "Just trust me and stay away. Come to my place instead." Something in my gut told me this was about my family, about my children. I grabbed my bags and practically ran to my car in long-term parking. Whatever was happening, I needed to know now. Before I continue with what I discovered that night and how it changed my family forever, drop a comment letting me know where you are watching from and hit that subscribe button if you have ever had that gut feeling that something was terribly wrong at home. 3 years into my position as regional sales director for a medical equipment company, I had finally found the perfect balance between career success and family life, or so I thought. My wife Sarah and I had been married for 10 years, building what everyone in our social circle considered an enviable life in our suburban Portland neighborhood. Our 2 children, Emma and Jason, attended a well-regarded elementary school where Sarah volunteered twice weekly. From the outside, we embodied the American dream. The 4-bedroom house with a backyard treehouse. I had built myself family vacations documented in carefully arranged photo albums and a social media presence that showcased our apparent domestic bliss. My relationship with my brother Michael had always been the steady foundation beneath everything else in my life. 4 years older than me, Michael had been my protector since elementary school. The one who taught me to stand up to bullies and later helped me navigate the complexities of dating and college applications. Even as adults with our separate lives, he, a software developer who worked remotely, me, constantly traveling for sales presentations, we maintained a closeness that transcended regular contact. In recent months, however, our communication had become somewhat sporadic. Between my increased travel schedule and Michael's new relationship with Allison, our weekly calls had dwindled to occasional text exchanges and monthly dinners when I was in town. Still, I never doubted that Michael remained the one person I could trust implicitly, the one who would always tell me the unvarnished truth, regardless of how painful it might be. My marriage to Sarah had begun with the passionate certainty of 2 people convinced they were perfect for each other. We had met during my final year of college, when she was working as a barista at the coffee shop where I studied. Her artistic temperament balanced my practical nature, and her spontaneity added color to my methodical approach to life. After graduation, as my career in medical sales took off, Sarah put her art degree aside to focus on building our home and eventually raising our children. Looking back now, I can identify the subtle shifts that I had willfully ignored. Sarah's creative projects, once a constant presence in our home, had gradually disappeared. Her vibrant circle of artist friends visited less frequently, eventually stopping altogether. When I mentioned these changes, she dismissed my concerns with practiced reassurances about being fulfilled by motherhood and community volunteering. More recently, new patterns had emerged that I had rationalized away during my frequent absences. Sarah had become increasingly protective of her phone, the screen always angled away from my view. She had established new book club meetings that required overnight stays at friends' homes once or twice a month. Our intimacy had become perfunctory on the rare occasions it occurred at all. Each time these concerns surfaced in my mind, I suppressed them, focusing instead on the next sales target, the next client meeting, the next business trip. The children had also shown subtle signs of change. Emma, normally outgoing and academically enthusiastic, had become quieter, sometimes wearing the same clothes multiple days in a row, something the meticulous Sarah would never have previously allowed. Jason had developed a new nervous habit of biting his nails until they bled, and his kindergarten teacher had emailed about increasing withdrawal in class. I had addressed these observations with Sarah during our nightly phone calls, while I traveled, accepting her explanations about normal childhood phases and the temporary stress of my absence. My most recent business trip to Chicago had been scheduled for 5 days of client meetings and a medical technology conference. When the primary contract was signed 2 days earlier than anticipated and the conference keynote was canceled due to the speaker's illness, I had seized the opportunity to return home early, imagining the children's delight and perhaps a chance to reconnect with Sarah during an unexpected free weekend. I had not mentioned my early return to anyone planning to surprise them all. I had even stopped to purchase small gifts, a delicate bracelet for Emma, a new action figure from Jason's favorite cartoon, and a silver necklace I hoped might reignite some spark with Sarah. These carefully selected presents now sat forgotten in my carry-on as I sped toward Michael's downtown apartment, my knuckles white against the steering wheel. The traffic light sequence on Burnside Street seemed deliberately calibrated to intensify my anxiety, each red light an excruciating pause in my journey toward answers. I tried calling Michael twice more. During these forced stops, receiving only a text that read, "Almost home. Wait for me there. Spare key. Under blue planter." Whatever he needed to tell me, he clearly would not do it over the phone. When I finally parked haphazardly outside Michael's modern apartment building, the evening had fully descended streetlights, casting harsh shadows across unfamiliar cars. I found the key exactly where he had described and let myself into his meticulously organized living space, the ticking of the vintage wall clock, the only sound breaking the silence. I paced the length of his open-concept living area, checking my phone every 30 seconds, my mind creating increasingly catastrophic scenarios. Had there been an accident? Was someone ill? Had our house been broken into? Each possibility seemed simultaneously unbearable and inadequate to explain Michael's cryptic warning. When I heard his key in the lock 20 minutes later, I practically lunged toward the door, desperate for information that would end this torturous uncertainty. Michael's face told me everything and nothing simultaneously. His normally relaxed expression was set in grim lines, his eyes avoiding direct contact as he carefully locked the door behind him. He looked like a man preparing to detonate an explosive he could not disarm. "What is happening? Are the kids okay?" I demanded immediately, my voice sounding strange, even to my own ears. He placed his laptop bag deliberately on the kitchen counter before answering. "The kids are physically safe, Damon, but there is a situation you need to know about." His measured tone, clearly intended to be calming, only heightened my anxiety. "Just tell me, Michael. Whatever it is, I need to know now." He gestured toward the couch. "You should sit down for this." I remained standing, my body too charged with adrenaline to consider sitting. "Tell me. Now." Michael sighed, then moved to his laptop, opening it and navigating to a folder with methodical precision that seemed almost cruel given my state of mind. 3 days ago, I was troubleshooting that security system I installed at your house last month. You remember I told you I could access it remotely to fix any glitches? I nodded impatiently. Michael had installed an advanced home security system during my previous business trip, insisting it would give me peace of mind while traveling. The system included exterior cameras, motion sensors, and limited interior monitoring of common areas, like the living room and kitchen. He had set everything up with multiple backup alerts and remote access capabilities, explaining the technical specifications with his characteristic thoroughness. I got an alert about unusual activity, multiple entries at odd hours when the system should have been armed. I checked the footage to make sure it was not a false alarm. He paused visibly, struggling with how to continue, and I prompted, my mouth dry. "Sarah has been bringing people into your house, Damon. Strangers. Multiple different men, sometimes more than one at a time." The statement hung in the air between us, its implications not fully penetrating my comprehension. "What do you mean, bringing people?" "Like friends. Repairmen." Michael's expression tightened with discomfort and something like anger. "Not friends or repairmen. These are men she appears to have met online. They come late at night, sometimes when you are away, sometimes when you are supposedly working late. And Damon, what happens after they arrive is explicit." The floor seemed to shift beneath my feet as understanding began to dawn. "Are you saying Sarah is having affairs in our house?" "It is worse than affairs," he said quietly, turning the laptop screen toward me. "The children are in the house when this happens. And based on what I have seen in this footage, they are not being properly supervised while these activities are taking place. There are clear signs of neglect, possibly substance abuse. I have documented everything. I stared at the screen, which showed a paused video of my own living room. The timestamp indicated it was from 2 nights ago, just after 9 in the evening. "Show me," I said, my voice barely audible. "Are you sure you want to see this?" "I can summarize." "Show me," I repeated more firmly this time. With visible reluctance, Michael pressed play. The footage was clear, despite the night vision mode of the camera. Sarah entered the frame dressed in clothing I had never seen before, laughing with a man whose face was partially obscured. A bottle of what appeared to be vodka dangled from her hand. They were already intimate as they collapsed onto our family sofa, the same one where I read bedtime stories to Emma and Jason. As the scene unfolded with horrifying clarity, my attention was drawn to movement at the edge of the frame, a small figure in pajamas hesitating at the entrance to the hallway. Emma clearly awake and witnessing something no 8-year-old should see. Sarah, noticing her presence, shouted something inaudible due to the camera's limited audio capabilities. Emma retreated quickly, her body language conveying fear and confusion. The scene continued with Sarah and the stranger becoming more explicit, completely unconcerned about my daughter's presence just down the hall. Then came the detail that broke something fundamental inside me. Sarah reaching for what was unmistakably a small bag of white powder on the coffee table, the same surface where our children did their homework. "Turn it off," I managed to say, turning away from the screen. "How long has this been happening?" How many times Michael closed the laptop, his face a mask of controlled anger. Based on the footage, I have reviewed at least 8 different instances over the past 3 weeks. Different men each time. Sometimes when the kids are asleep, sometimes when they are clearly awake and unsupervised. I have seen Emma trying to care for Jason, making him sandwiches while these activities are happening. The magnitude of the betrayal was staggering, but my immediate concern crystallized around my children. The kids. We need to get them out of there now. My mind raced through possibilities, each more unthinkable than the last. "Do you think they are in immediate danger? Should we call the police?" "Child Protective Services." Michael placed a steadying hand on my shoulder. "I have already consulted with Allison's sister. She is a family law attorney. We need to document everything properly before making any moves. If we call the police without a clear plan, this could become even more traumatic for Emma and Jason." His words penetrated the fog of my shock. Michael had already been thinking strategically, while I was still processing the basic reality of the situation. What did the attorney recommend? She is on her way here now. We need to establish a record of everything, file for emergency custody, and approach this carefully. Sarah is still their mother, and rushing in without legal protection could backfire terribly. I paced the length of the apartment, fury and fear battling for dominance. My children are in a house with a stranger and a mother who is using drugs and having sex in front of them, and we are talking about documentation. "Listen to me," Damon Michael said, firmly blocking my path to the door. "I understand you want to rush in there right now. I do too. But if we do this wrong, Sarah could turn this against you. We need to be smart about how we protect Emma and Jason for the long term. Not just tonight." The logic of his argument gradually penetrated my emotional haze. "How soon can we move on? This Allison's sister will be here in 20 minutes with the necessary paperwork. We will file for emergency custody first thing in the morning when the court opens. In the meantime, we document, prepare, and make sure when we go in, we do it right." As the initial shock began to transform into focused determination, I sank onto the couch, suddenly aware of the physical toll the past hour had taken. "Thank you," I said quietly, "for watching out for them when I could not." Michael nodded, his expression softening slightly. "They are my niece and nephew. I would do anything to protect them." He hesitated before adding, "And you should know. Based on what I have seen, this is not a one-time lapse in judgment. Sarah has been systematically deceiving you, possibly for months." As we waited for the attorney to arrive, Michael showed me additional clips he had saved Sarah, leaving the children alone late at night. Evidence of strangers in various states of undress, moving freely throughout our home. Emma attempting to quiet a crying Jason, while their mother was clearly impaired in the next room. Each new revelation was another blow to the foundation of what I had believed was my life. By the time Allison's sister Rachel arrived with a portfolio of legal documents and a compassionate but professional demeanor, my shock had hardened into resolve. Whatever happened next, my priority was crystal clear: protecting my children from a situation I had failed to recognize until my brother's intervention forced me to see the truth. The next 12 hours unfolded with the surreal quality of a nightmare from which I could not awaken. Rachel, efficiently professional despite the late hour, guided me through signing emergency custody petitions and documenting my statement. We compiled a timeline using Michael's video evidence, my travel records, and text message exchanges with Sarah that, in retrospect, contained obvious lies about the children's care during my absence. "The court opens at 8:30, Rachel explained, as we finalized the paperwork around 2 in the morning. "I will file these documents immediately and request an emergency hearing. Given the evidence we have, there is a strong possibility the judge will grant temporary sole custody pending a full investigation. And until then," I asked, exhaustion competing with anxiety as the adrenaline of the initial shock began to fade. "Until then, you have two options," she said candidly. "You can return home now, confront the situation directly, and potentially create a volatile scenario that might endanger the children. Or you can wait until we have the court order in hand, which gives you legal protection and official backing." Every instinct screamed to rush to my children immediately, but the rational part of my brain, the part that had made me successful in complex sales negotiations, recognized the wisdom in Rachel's implied recommendation. "How long will it take to get the order? If the judge reviews it first thing, we could have it by mid-morning. I will push for urgency, given the nature of the evidence." The decision to wait those additional hours was perhaps the most difficult choice I had ever made. Michael offered his guest room, but sleep was impossible. Instead, I reviewed the video footage repeatedly, cataloging each instance of neglect and endangerment, my determination strengthening with each viewing. I also prepared myself mentally for the confrontation to come, knowing that Sarah would likely react with defensive anger, manipulation, or both. By 7:30 the next morning, Rachel had departed for the courthouse with our carefully prepared documentation, leaving Michael and me to wait in tense silence. I called my company's HR department to request emergency family leave, providing minimal details but enough to secure immediate approval. Michael contacted a locksmith who specialized in emergency services, arranging for them to meet us at my house after we received the court order. At 10:17, Rachel called with the news we had been waiting for. "The judge has granted emergency temporary custody and exclusive use of the family home," she reported. "The sheriff's department has been notified and can provide an escort if you anticipate resistance." The order also prohibits Sarah from removing any children or significant assets from the premises. With the legal protection now in place, we implemented the carefully considered plan. Michael would accompany me to provide both emotional support and an additional adult witness. The locksmith would meet us there to immediately change the locks after Sarah's departure. We had also arranged for a female social worker recommended by Rachel to be present, ensuring another professional perspective if the situation escalated. The drive to my own house felt like an approach to a stranger's residence. The familiar streets and landmarks of my neighborhood seemed altered somehow, as if the revelation about my home life had changed the very geography of my surroundings. As we pulled into the driveway, I noticed Sarah's car was present, but no others, a small mercy, given what might have awaited us. The social worker, Linda, arrived moments after we did, her calm demeanor and clear experience with similar situations, providing a steadying influence. "Let me take the lead initially," she suggested. "Sometimes, having a neutral third party can help diffuse the immediate reaction." With the court order in hand and supporters flanking me, I used my key to enter my own home for what felt like the first time. The living room, the same one I had witnessed being desecrated in the security footage, appeared deceptively normal, though with the subtle signs of neglect I had failed to notice during my brief periods at home between trips. Toys scattered across the floor, unwashed dishes piled in the sink, visible from the entryway, laundry draped over furniture instead of being properly stored. Sarah appeared from the kitchen, her initial expression of surprise at my early return quickly morphing into defensive hostility when she registered Michael's presence and the unfamiliar woman beside me. "What is this? Why are you home early?" Who is she? The rapid-fire questions had an aggressive edge that I now recognized as her typical deflection strategy. Sarah, my name is Linda Mercer. I am a family advocate with Child Protective Services. The social worker began, her tone professional but non-confrontational. Mr. Wilson has been granted emergency temporary custody of Emma and Jason by the court this morning. I am here to facilitate a smooth transition and ensure the children's well-being during this process. Sarah's face transformed through a series of emotions: shock, anger, calculation, and finally, an attempt at wounded innocence. What are you talking about? What lies has he been telling? This is ridiculous. There are no grounds for something like this. I found my voice surprisingly steady despite the turmoil within. We have video evidence, Sarah, of the men you have been bringing into our home, of the drugs, of the children being neglected while I could not bring myself to describe what I had seen in front of Linda. You have been spying on me. Sarah's strategy shifted instantly to indignation. Invading my privacy with cameras. No court will. The security system was installed with your knowledge, Michael interjected calmly, for the family's protection, which is exactly how it has been used to protect Emma and Jason. As if summoned by their names, my daughter appeared at the hallway entrance, her small face lighting with genuine joy at seeing me. Daddy, you are home early. She ran toward me, and I knelt to embrace her, fighting to maintain composure as I felt her thin arms wrap around my neck. Where is Jason? I asked her quietly. Still sleeping. He was up a lot last night because of the loud music. Her innocent report confirmed yet another detail from the security footage: Sarah's complete disregard for the children's basic needs, like adequate sleep. The arrival of the locksmith minutes later and the concrete reality of the court order in Linda's hands gradually penetrated Sarah's denial. Her attempts to portray herself as the victim transformed into bitter accusations about my absences, my emotional distance, my failure to appreciate her sacrifices. When these gained no traction, she shifted to threats about custody battles, about ruining my reputation, about turning the children against me. Throughout it all, Linda maintained a calm presence, focused primarily on the children's well-being, helping Emma gather essential comfort items while I went to wake Jason. My son's confusion at the unfolding situation broke my heart all over again. His small face searching mine for reassurance, I struggled to provide with authenticity. The most difficult moment came when Linda explained to Sarah that she needed to leave the premises immediately as required by the court order. You can take personal items and clothing, but no property of significant value, and certainly not the children, she clarified as Sarah began throwing items into a suitcase. You cannot just throw me out of my own house, Sarah protested, though her frantic packing belied her words. Where am I supposed to go? For a moment, I almost felt pity, remembering the vibrant, caring woman I had once believed her to be. That sentiment vanished when I noticed Emma instinctively positioning herself between Sarah and Jason, a protective stance no 8-year-old should need to assume toward a parent. You have friends you can stay with, I said simply. The same ones whose houses you claimed to be at when you were actually here with strangers while our children were neglected. The barb hit its mark. Sarah's expression hardened as she finished packing and headed for the door. This is not over, she said quietly, the threat unmistakable, despite her controlled tone, not by a long shot. As the locksmith began changing the locks immediately after her departure, I gathered Emma and Jason in the living room, struggling to find age-appropriate words to explain the sudden changes in their lives. How do you tell children that the foundation of their world has cracked beyond repair? That one of the two people they should trust most had betrayed that trust in ways they could not yet understand? We are going to be staying together, just the three of us, for a while. I began, carefully aware of Linda's supportive presence nearby. Mom needs some time to get better. Is she sick? Jason asked, his innocent question piercing in its unintended accuracy. In a way, I answered honestly. Sometimes grown-ups make choices that are not healthy, and they need time away to learn how to make better choices. Emma, with the perceptiveness that had always characterized her, asked the question I had been dreading. Is it because of the strangers, the ones mom brings when you are not here? The confirmation that my children had indeed been aware of what was happening struck me with fresh pain. Yes, partly because of that, and because grown-ups should never put children in uncomfortable or unsafe situations, like when she gets mad if we come out of our room when she has friends over. Jason added, his small face serious. Or when she sleeps all day and we have to make our own breakfast. Each revelation was another indictment, another failure I had not recognized in my distracted complacency. Yes, exactly like that. But things are going to be different now, I promise. As Linda helped me establish an immediate routine to provide the children with a sense of security, Michael coordinated with Rachel by phone, ensuring all legal requirements were being properly fulfilled. By evening, when Linda departed with assurances of continued support through the family court system, a fragile new normal had begun to take shape in the household, one built on the ruins of what I had once believed was a happy family. 6 months have passed since that day each week, bringing new challenges but also gradual healing. The initial emergency custody order has been extended repeatedly as Sarah's behavior during supervised visitation continues to raise concerns. The formal investigation revealed issues even more extensive than I had initially discovered: evidence of long-term substance abuse, financial impropriety, including credit cards opened in my name, and disturbing connections to individuals with criminal records who had been in our home with the children present. The path forward has not been easy for any of us. Emma and Jason attend weekly therapy sessions with a specialist in childhood trauma, working through confusion, anger, and grief that no child should have to experience. I have adjusted my work schedule, permanently transitioning to a position with minimal travel and flexible hours that allow me to be present for school drop-offs, soccer practices, and the mundane daily moments that I now recognize as precious. Our home has been thoroughly transformed, both physically and emotionally. Rooms have been repainted, furniture replaced, and new traditions established to create distance from painful associations. Friday movie nights, Saturday morning pancake breakfasts, and Sunday afternoon park adventures have become the reliable rhythm of our new family dynamic. The security system remains, though now it represents protection rather than surveillance. Michael's role in our lives has deepened significantly. He visits several times weekly, providing both practical support and the ongoing male influence that Emma and Jason need more than ever. His willingness to be present during the hardest moments, the tearful questions about when mommy is coming home, the nightmares that still occasionally disturb their sleep, has proven the depth of his commitment to our family's healing. The legal proceedings continue their slow progression through the family court system. Sarah has cycled through periods of apparent remorse and aggressive counter-accusations, her behavior during mandated drug testing and psychological evaluations, undermining her case for restored custody. I take no pleasure in her struggles, recognizing that my children will always carry the complicated reality of having a mother who failed them so fundamentally. What keeps me grounded through this ongoing challenge is the visible evidence of Emma and Jason's resilience. Emma's academic performance, which had begun to suffer significantly, has returned to her previously enthusiastic engagement. Jason's nervous habits have diminished as security and routine have been restored to his daily life. Their laughter, absent during those first difficult weeks, now regularly fills our home again. I have learned painful lessons about vigilance, about the danger of comfortable assumptions, and about the courage required to rebuild from devastation. The career that once seemed all-important now occupies its proper place in my priorities. The superficial social connections that characterized our previous life have been replaced by fewer but deeper relationships with people who have demonstrated genuine support during our family crisis. Most importantly, I have discovered reserves of strength. I never knew I possessed the capacity to sit with my children's pain without trying to minimize it. The patience to answer difficult questions honestly, but appropriately, the determination to create safety and stability, no matter what obstacles arise. Each day brings new challenges, but also new moments of connection and healing that would not have been possible had the painful truth remained hidden. I remain forever grateful to my brother, whose vigilance and courage in showing me what I did not want to see ultimately saved my children from continuing harm. His text message that night, "Do not go home tonight," initially seemed like the beginning of the worst chapter of my life. With time and perspective, I now recognize it as the first step toward authentic family healing. Have you ever had someone in your life brave enough to tell you a painful truth you needed to hear? Or have you been the person who had to deliver difficult news to protect someone you care about? Share your experiences in the comments below. Your story might help someone facing a similar crossroads right now. If this account of protecting children from a dangerous situation resonated with you, please hit the like button and subscribe to hear more stories about family challenges and resilience. And if you know someone struggling with difficult family decisions, share this video as a reminder that sometimes the hardest choices lead to the most necessary healing. Thank you for listening, and remember that true family protection sometimes requires painful honesty followed by unwavering support.